Okay, so I have not had the greatest success with Facebook Live today, but having said that, I still think it's important to get out there with the top three things that any woman over 40 needs to know. This is a super short version of the Menopause Cafe that was on October 9th, and the full replay version is available at ewcircle.com/menopause. But with no further ado, what are the top three things that any woman over 40 should know? So, first of all, this is not one of them, but vital for us to realize is that as women, we will spend probably 30 to 40% of our lives postmenopausal. So this is not a short time, and this is not like just the end and we need to kind of grit our teeth and bear it through the last part of our life. This is a large portion of our life, and we want those years to be high quality years. So we need to start thinking about that in advance of those years and start thinking about what we are going to do to be prepared for that last third of our life so that we can live it to the absolute fullest. So I'm referencing the notes from the Menopause Cafe because we had so many great things to talk about at that cafe. And essentially the average age of menopause is 51. And there's this whole time frame around menopause called the climacteric, which is about 10 years long. So that's why women start to have symptoms in their 40s, sometimes even early 40s. So it's really not just for, let's say, old women or older women. It's really for all of us who are 40 and beyond, and especially for 50, 51 being the average age, especially for 50-year-olds. 6,000 women a day are entering menopause in the US. And there's all kinds of things happening around midlife that make it an exceptionally stressful time. So not just aging, but concerns with looking after growing children, with looking after ailing parents, with being in that sandwich generation. And I was sitting on the airplane recently talking to a woman about a book she was reading. I cannot remember the name of that book, but she was saying, you know, as women delay childbearing and they start to have their kids later, sort of mid, late 30s, even early 40s, they're still raising their children when they're retired and their parents are needing them to look after them. So they've actually got not just children in their home, but parents now needing that kind of care. So that sandwich generation that we've known about for a long time is actually getting even more confined in time and space as women delay childbearing and as our kids are younger while we are older. And of course, I'm actually one of those people as well, having had my kids beyond my mid 30s. So I promise the top three things all women over 40 need to know. Number one, your health is in your hands. So what does that mean? It means that now is the time to start to take life seriously and your health seriously. And we dug into in the Menopause Cafe exercise. What kind of exercise? So what kind of exercise is important? We really want to be doing exercise that builds muscle for a couple of reasons. One is we want muscle strength, but secondly, and probably more relevant for a lot of people in the questions I get, that muscle burns calories. So the more muscle we have, the more calories we burn even when we're sleeping. So when we start to not have as much muscle around, we actually don't have as high a metabolic rate, and then we start to pack on pounds because we haven't got the muscle that's kind of burning off that energy as we go. So what kind of exercise you want to be doing is muscle training. You also want to be doing HIIT, high intensity training. High intensity interval training. So some HIIT training. So every time I go for a 5K run, which is kind of my favorite thing to do because it clears my mind, I also end up going in to do a few intervals. So I actually go not just for my 5K, but in about 3 times while I'm doing that 5K, I do like a sprint. I can't quite do a full minute, but maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds. So really sprint it up as hard and fast as I possibly can. It's not pretty, but it gets me that HIIT training, that high intensity interval training. So in the cafe, we talked about what kind of exercise to do, and that would be Those two things, muscle building and high intensity interval training. In the cafe, we also talked about what kind of diet, what nutritionally would be the most sound kind of diet. And the most evidence actually exists for Mediterranean diets. What does that mean? It doesn't mean like going out for Italian lasagna. It means like lots of vegetables, lots of fruits, lots of lean proteins, and really minimizing the bad fats. Good fats are kind of good. So you got avocados and you got olives in that Mediterranean diet. So the science is really kind of clear that we want to be considering those things. Also making sure you've got calcium and vitamin D and omega-3s in a high quality form. Antioxidants are nice for reversing the aging process. And we talked about stress. We talked a lot about stress in the Menopause Cafe, so you can review some of those details. And sleep. So what's sleep have to do with menopause? At the time when hormones start to fall off, we know that sleep can get really, really disturbed. And even one glass of wine can throw things really off when you're trying to get a good sleep. So again, in the cafe, I showed lots of graphics in regards to what's happening to estrogen levels, what's happening to muscle mass, what's happening to bone strength. So have a look at that. And so that was number one. Your health is in your hands. We talked about exercise, nutrition, stress, and sleep. What's number two? Top second thing that all women over 40 need to know, and that is that the timing is crucial. Timing is absolutely crucial. Why is that? Well, the North American Menopause Society has something called, they have a great website, and they have something called a position statement, and essentially really digs into who should be on hormones. So who should be on estrogen, who should be on progesterone, and timing is crucial because we know that those hormones are actually safe right after menopause, in the first 10 years after menopause, and kind of in the age range of 50 to 60. But if you wait too long and you try and take hormones later, then you actually have much, much higher risks. So there's a timing hypothesis associated with when to take those hormones. So for those of you who are kind of watching later, I did try to share some slides on Facebook Live, and I know that's possible, but it's outside of my scope because I wasn't able to do it. So go on over and watch the full cafe. You're going to get lots of graphics and lots of kind of cool things that we talked about on October 9th. And if you're watching this and you know how to share slides on Facebook, give me a call because I'd like to learn how to do it. What nutrients are really important? Omega-3s and B vitamins and vitamin E, and then there's some herbs that are tested for hot flashes and night sweats that are really helpful as well. So top three things that any woman over 40 needs to know. Number one is your health is in your hands. Exercise, diet, sleep, and stress. Number two, timing is crucial. Don't grit your teeth through symptoms. Get treatment. And number three, who do you look for advice? If you go to a website called menopause.org, you're going to be able to search in your zip code for a local North American Menopause Society certified menopause practitioner. And that is absolutely the best person that should be giving your advice around your medical and your clinical and your hormonal and your non-hormonal advice around menopause. So make sure that you look up who is a certified menopause practitioner, because you've seen, if you kind of scroll through my posts on this page, you'll see that there's been some pretty serious things in the news about FDA cease and desist orders, FDA cautionary orders about various types of hormone treatment that are not necessarily science-backed and not necessarily safe. So things like pellet therapy, things like compounded hormone replacement therapy, those things are really catching a lot of attention from some of these credible organizations, the FDA, North American Menopause Society, and you can get a lot of information by going to that site or watching the full Menopause Cafe, where I dig into that in much greater detail. So That's it. I just wanted to have a quick little chat with you, do a Facebook Live where I could share some of that great information, real succinct version of what we did on the October 9th Menopause Cafe. You can watch the entire cafe, and when you end up over on ewcircle.com/menopause, you're going to see all the information about the workshop that starts this Wednesday. We're going to keep registration open for a week, so till Wednesday, October 23rd, you'll be able to register and have a look at exactly what is in each of the modules so you can decide if it's for you. Because if you're a midlife woman and you want to be living your biggest, best, most energetic, vital, alive, and joy-filled years, you want to get in that workshop. I hope to see you there. Bye-bye.